Hello everyone. Those who didn't watch my other videos, my name is Sadiq. I did PhD in China and currently I'm working as an associate professor in a Chinese university. In this video, I will talk about the Chinese education system. China is a destination for study, how good the Chinese education system is, research environment, and the food, living cost, housing, people, language, etc. etc. For people who wants to study in China, what they want to know or they need to know. So I will talk in brief about all these things. Before going to answer the major question normally the people ask when they want to come to China to study, let's talk about the made in China perception. Is most of us have this perception, the bad perception made in China, I mean inferior goods, inferior quality. So for example, when we think about China, the first thing come to our mind is made in China. So we also think that the education system in China might not be good, inferior, not good in quality. But let me explain this before going to answer the other question, the main purpose of this video about the made in China perception. Let me clarify this thing. There is only one city in China which is specialized in selling or producing these inferior goods, quality of goods, products, sending or exporting to other countries. And that city is called Yiwu, and there are hundreds of cities in China. Each city is specialized in making something. Most of the Chinese goods are good in quality. Even sometimes some of their products surpassing, increasing the quality meeting or surpassing the quality standards of European quality standards and American. So this on one city, if you go to that city, you will find foreigners, you will find people from every country. They are there buying and sending those inferior goods and products to their country. So it is not the fault of China, it is the fault of those people who are sending. So those who blame China for this thing like made in China, Chinese goods are not good, things are not good. So you should ask these people to send the good and the quality products from China, not the inferior and the low and the cheap commodities selling in their city. So each and every city is famous is specialized in producing goods, but that one city it is specialized in selling the cheap, the lower quality, inferior quality goods, so of to other country. So you will find a lot of people from every country in that city lurking around the market and buying and sending. So it's not the problem China. Most of the Chinese goods here in China sending to a good other country have good, and the quality is good, and of course the price is not lower as we normally think about, have perception about Chinese have lower price. It's just the cheap good and that one city. So this is one I want to clarify, because before, when I was pursuing my PhD degree, when I applied here, I got the scholarship. I went to one of my teacher and I told him that I got a scholarship in China. So as he also have, like other people have made in China perception, he said, China? Why China? You should go to some European country. So he was also thinking in terms of made in China. So this was just a brief explanation about made in China. Now let's come to the main question people normally ask when they want to perceive their education in China or thinking about to study in China. The question is China as a destination for study. So I will divide this into two parts. Self-funded, those students who are paying tuition fees, living expenses by themselves, self-funded, and other is scholarship, studying China on scholarship. If you are thinking to study in China on self-funded basis, like you will pay the tuition fee, so some programs in China are good and much cheaper than European, American, and even some Asian countries. Like here, most of the self-funded students here in China are studying medicine. So the top universities here in China, by top universities, I mean the universities in the top tier cities. Like China divided in their cities into 4 or 5 categories: first tier cities, second tier cities, third tier, fourth tier. In the first tier cities like Shanghai and Beijing. So if you can find, if you want to study in China on self-funded basis, so you need to search universities in the top 3 tier cities. So most of the universities in the top 3 tier cities are normally good. They have facilities, education system is very good, much better than the underdeveloping countries or the Asian countries, and they are much cheaper. So for self-industry, like studying medicine in China is a good option because the cost is low and the quality is good, and beating most of the underdeveloping and Asian countries, how to say, education system, especially in the top 3 tier cities, the universities in the top 3 tier cities. You can Google it, top 3 tier cities. They will give you a list of the cities in the top 3 tier. So if you find a university in the top 3 tier, then you can be sure the quality and this education system will be good. So this is about self-funded. Like engineering is also a good option to study in China. Those students who come to China to study engineering on self-funded basis, so they need to search a university in the top 3 tier. This is one advice I will like to give to students who are thinking to come to China to study on self-funded basis. They need to search universities in the top 3 tier cities. The next one is studying on scholarship. If you get the Chinese scholarship, Chinese government scholarship to study in China, I will advise you should come. Why? Because China, the living cost is cheap, the housing is cheap, food is cheap, not expensive. So you will save a big portion of your scholarship. You will be able to save a big portion of your scholarship, and you will do lots of saving during your studies if you will get any scholarship in China. And most of the scholarship, the amount is good. Most of the Chinese scholarship, the amount is good. So most of the university, especially if you are living on campus, they will give you a subsidized housing. The food is subsidized for student, and there are lots of options to eat. Many universities have 3 or 4 canteens, so you have lots of options to eat. Even if you want to eat outside, again the food is cheap, not expensive. And the best, and always, if you know how to cook, you can always cook for yourself. If you cook for yourself, that is the cheapest way to eat in China, because the commodity, the price of the vegetables, the food, not high is not high in China. So the living cost in China is not high. And for students, they can always take the option of eating on campus. Like on campus eating is subsidized. How living on campus is subsidized. So if you get any scholarship in China, I will advise you should come, because you will be able to save a big portion. If you get a scholarship in some European and other countries, you will not be able to save. And the scholarship is also there is no taxation on the scholarship. So the scholarship you receive, you will be able to you will be able to save a big portion of that scholarship, because of the living cost is cheap, the housing and food is this thing. The next thing is how good the Chinese education system is. How good the Chinese education system is, the Chinese education system is. So let's divide this into 3 categories. First, studying for bachelor, undergraduate degree, studying for master's degree or PhD. Those students who are thinking to come to China to pursue their bachelor or undergraduate degree, so almost all the bachelor degree, the medium of instruction, the languages in Chinese. They are in Chinese. They are not in English. I think there is no option to study your bachelor degree in English here in China. So for most of the bachelor students who come to China, the foreigner, they study Chinese language for 1 or 2 years. After that, they pursue their major. So you need to be good, you need to be fluent in order to pursue your bachelor degree. So of course, so you should not think, if I'm not that good in Chinese language, I will not be able to pursue my degree, or I will not be good in studies. I think that won't be a problem. Most of the Chinese teaching, they can speak a little bit of broken English. They will, how to say, and they can help you out. They can be a little bit lenient if you are a foreigner. They know you are not that fluent. The foreigner are not that fluent in Chinese. But I saw many my friends here. They did their bachelor's from here, and they are so good in their studies. They know they are much better than most of the students who came from other countries. So it will not be a big problem. So if you are thinking, so I think China again, China is much better. The education is much better than most of the underdeveloping countries, Asian countries, especially if your university is in the top 3 tier cities. The next is studying, coming to China to pursue your master's degree. If you are thinking to come to China to pursue your master's degree, so you need to know that you need to be self-sufficient. The Chinese professor, either they don't have time or their English is not good. There is a language barrier, so they will not help you. They will not help you that much. So you need to know, you need to do it all by yourself. You need to be good in everything. You need to know how to do research. You need to know how to use different software. So don't expect that the Chinese teacher, he will give me 1 or 2 hours every day. As I told you, they are either busy or either there is a language barrier. It doesn't mean they are not cooperative. The Chinese professors are cooperative. They are friendly, but again, either they are busy or there is a language barrier. Their English is not that good, so they cannot communicate with you properly. They will simply tell you need to publish this or do this or publish 2 papers in good and high quality journals. They will not tell you or guide you how to do it. You need to do it all by yourself. So this is, you need to keep in mind this thing. Another thing is coming for PhD, to pursue your doctoral degree. If you are thinking about PhD or doctoral degree here in China, again, China is a very good option to study, because the Chinese government these days investing a lot in the R&D, research and development. They are paying handsome amounts for scholarship to researchers. So you will find a very good opportunity to pursue your PhD, and even after PhD you will find very good, lots of opportunities. And they pay lots of money. They pay a handsome amount of scholarship, and scholarship is money. So for researchers, research in China is a very good option, because the future of the research is here in China. They are investing lots of money in this field. So for PhD or those people who want to pursue a research-oriented career, China is a very good option for them. Now, education, the research and the education environment in terms of research, as I said before, these days the Chinese government is spending and investing lots of money in the field of research. So for researcher, this is a country, there is a future here. They can find very good opportunities, handsome scholarships. And they can in good universities here, and they can find good opportunities here. So if you want to pursue your research oriented degree, or how to say, your research oriented career, so you should think about China. And if you get any chance, you should come. You should not think about other things. It's a good option. Now let's talk about living standard, food, housing, transportation. As I said before, food here in China is very cheap. On campus is subsidized. If you are living on campus, you can eat on campus, and there are lots of options. And the housing is also cheap in big tier cities. First, it can be a little bit expensive, but of course, the university will give you an option to live on campus. You don't need to pay for anything, and even outside, it is not as expensive as compared with some other countries, like even some Asian countries. The housing is cheaper, not expensive here in China. The transportation system is good, very good. There is high speed trains, slow trains, high speed trains. There is subway, there are buses, taxis. So transportation is not a problem. It's very convenient to find, and there is lots of option for transportation. So transportation, housing, food is not a problem. Next thing is the people. Chinese people. The Chinese people are friendly, very cooperative, humble, and very helpful. So the people are really good. They like foreigners. They like to interact with foreigners. They like to talk with foreigners. They like to help foreigners, because how to say, foreigners here in China is still a new phenomena. So people like, they are friendly. They are, how to say, cooperative. They are humble. So the people here are, Chinese people are great. Next is the, let's talk about some restrictions, especially the restrictions for foreigners, especially restrictions on internet. So in China, you can, the Facebook is banned, Twitter, Instagram, and these things are banned. So like in other country we use WhatsApp, so here in China they use WeChat. So it will be a problem, or sometimes it's a headache to use Facebook, because you need VPN. Sometimes the VPN is working, sometimes the VPN is not working, and if you are lucky you will find a very good VPN, and if you are not lucky you will face problem. So of course it is not the end of the world. After me living here in China for about 2, 3, 4 months, you will get used to these things, and you will get used to live without Facebook and Twitter and these things. But if you are lucky, as I said, you will find a good VPN, as me. Thank God I find a good VPN to use Facebook and talk to you people on YouTube. So this is a, again I said, problem, like you won't be able to use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and these things, but you will get used to it, like most of the foreigners here. And there are another thing, there are some limitations for foreigners. The limitation for foreigners, like like some, there are some limitations for foreigners, because China recently opened up for foreigners. This recently the people start coming to China. So of course they need to, the Chinese still need to learn Chinese, still need to change many things. Sometimes, like for example, you cannot pay for something online, you need a Chinese ID to pay for something. So then me, like when I face such similar situation, I ask my Chinese friend to help me out. And as I said, the Chinese people are friendly, they are helpful, they are more than happy to help you out. So I rely on my Chinese friend, when I face some similar situation where I cannot do something as a foreigner. So I ask my Chinese friend to help me out. Like I said, when sometime you need a Chinese ID to buy something, so I ask my Chinese friend to help me in this. So of course you will not, still like living here in China for almost like 5 years, I didn't face any big problem here. So hope you will, people will also not face similar problem. Of course you cannot compare China with Western European countries. You will have lots of freedom, you can do whatever you want. But here in China, the situation is not like a Western European country. There will be some limitations, and of course you will get used to it. People are good, of course they will, there are pros and cons of every country. And another thing is food. If you like Chinese food, China is great and good country. But if you're not, you will find lots of options here. You can use the option to cook for yourself. The prices, like the prices of the vegetables, the fruit are very cheap. You can find each and every kind of spice, cheese, whatever you need online, it's available. So food is, I think, is not a big problem. You can find each and every kind of food here in China, not just Chinese. And there are lots of types of Chinese food. Maybe you will don't like one thing, you will like some other thing. And of course I need to clarify one thing, that all the Chinese people, they don't eat rats and dogs. Okay, maybe just a small portion, just in one city somewhere in China, they do this thing. They don't eat rats or dogs or some other things. So most of Chinese food is good, and you will like something. Maybe you will not like some Chinese food, you will like some other thing. You can eat out from KFC, it's everywhere. McDonald's is everywhere, KFC is everywhere, halal food is everywhere, halal food shops are everywhere, and there are Starbucks is everywhere, coffee shops, juice, and everything. Don't think that in China they only sell Chinese food. You can find lots of Western food here: Pizza Hut, pizzas, donuts, bagels, pretzels, whatever you name it, you can find here everywhere. In each city, everywhere you can find. So food is not a big problem. And the last thing I will talk about is the language barrier. Language is a big thing or a big barrier while living in China, because most people here, they don't speak English, or if they speak, they are not good. So but most people, they are friendly, they are eager, they like to talk with foreigners, so they try their best. Even like for me, for example, my Chinese is not that good. I'm not that fluent in Chinese, so sometimes when I have problems, so even like I said, Chinese people are good, they take out their phone and they type and then translate what they say to me in English. So of course, like living here in China for like almost 5 years, I didn't face any problem because of the language barrier. So you can how to say live, and most people, they can speak broken English, they try to speak. So again, language is a barrier. Of course, I will recommend, and I will definitely recommend that at least you need to know the survival Chinese, the basic Chinese. You need to master the survival basic Chinese so you can move around. So you need to have a little bit of command on Chinese language if you live in a comfortable, and if you don't want to face a big problem, like sometimes going to hospital, the doctor, if you need to explain yourself to a doctor, and of course doctors here also like speak just a little bit of English, broken English. So again, you need to speak Chinese, but again, I will say, still, like my personal experience, I've lived here in China for 5 years. I didn't face a big problem because of the language. So that's it. I explained whatever I was thinking, whatever I was thinking you need to know. And if you have any question, you can ask me in the comments of this video below. Thank you.